My son disappeared after a parachute jump 3 years ago. When we finally found him, he had gone from being a billionaire tycoon to an in-law son inheriting a pig farm. Beside him stood his new lover, hands on her hips, directing him to shovel pig manure. Splashes of foul stench flew everywhere. The driver beside me, ever resourceful, leaned in. "Madam, shall I write a check to make that woman leave Master Meng?" I glanced at my son's face, blackened, grinning foolishly with bared teeth, and turned away cleanly. So what if the main account failed? I still have a backup. When we located Meng Yuqing, he was knee-deep in manure. Once upon a time, he never left home without his Patek Philippe watch and tailored three-piece suits. Now, clad in a leather apron wielding an oversized iron shovel, he worked joyfully. Yi Qi, the pig farmer's daughter, trailed behind with a hose, spraying him down. Their sun-darkened faces beamed with happiness, as if they weren't kneeling in filth but savoring gourmet pork chops. Perhaps drawn by our stiff presence at the pigsty entrance, Yi Qi noticed us first. "Who are you? What do you want?" She strode over boldly, voice ringing clear. Meng Yuqing followed half a step behind, classic subordinate posture. I raised an eyebrow, studying my son after 3 years apart. Those eyes, once sharp with ambition and power, now held only curiosity and stranger's caution. "Well, spit it out. If there's nothing, stop blocking our work." Impatient, Yi Qi kicked his leg. "Hurry up. Manure isn't gonna shovel itself." He chuckled obediently, stealing one last glance my way before turning back. I stepped backward, putting distance between us, breathing as if untouched by the rancid air. I smiled faintly. "Our corporation just opened a new hotel. We're here to discuss pork procurement." Yi Qi shrugged. "Talk to my dad then. He's not here today. Come back tomorrow." She spun on her heel, undeterred. I motioned for the driver to leave. Inside the car, his jaw hung open, whispering urgently, "Madam, that was Master Meng. You searched for him for 3 solid years. Why aren't you taking him back?" 3 years prior, during a leisure paragliding attempt, his favorite extreme sport, his parachute malfunctioned midair. He plummeted into remote mountains, vanishing without trace. My team combed the area for 72 hours straight, finding only shredded silk near a stream, no sign of human remains. Yet I refused to believe my only son was dead. Enduring boardroom pressure, I hunted relentlessly until this pig farm. Turned out the crash had fractured his skull, robbing him of memory. Picked up by the farmer's daughter, turned into her husband. But here's the truth. I've reincarnated. In my first life, I also discovered amnesiac Meng Yuqing here. Seeing him reduced to shoveling shit, castrating boars, fury consumed me. I revealed his true identity. "You belong running Meng Industries, not tending sows." Instantly, he saw me as an enemy, even threatened me with a manure-caked shovel. When persuasion failed, I targeted Yi Qi. In their cramped mud hut kitchen, my nose pinched shut against the reek. I slapped down a 5 million yuan check. "Leave him, before your marriage." He'd been married 2 years. "This union is illegal. Hiding a missing man? Your whole farm could face jail time." Old man Yi signed divorce papers overnight. No hesitation. Meng Yuqing raged for one night, then climbed into my car at dawn, promising to reclaim his birthright. Relieved, I never questioned why his eyes stayed hollow. Over 3 years, he clawed his way back to the top, better than ever. At my birthday banquet, I transferred all shares. Yuqing is now head of House Meng. I retire. That night, drugged and dumped into a pig pen. Under cold moonlight, his face twisted alien, standing outside the pen, teeth bared. "You destroyed his happiness, ruined their farm. Because of you, she drowned in debt after bankruptcy, borrowed from loan sharks, died under their blades. Since you despise pig farmers, taste slow death by their teeth." Asterisk, he sliced gashes into my arms, blood drawing starved pigs. As they tore flesh, I saw him wearing that cheap t-shirt Yi Qi bought him, the one I'd ordered burned years ago. He'd kept it hidden. Crawling toward freedom, he kicked me deeper into the pack. Last thing I heard, his boots crunching gravel. Back at Meng Mansion, my first order? Prepare death certificate and funeral arrangements. My assistant stared. "Madam, aren't you searching for Master Meng anymore?" I sighed deeply, as if resigned. For 3 years, there had been no news at all, and this trip was also fruitless. I might as well assume he is dead outside. My assistant hesitated for a long time and could only say sorrowfully, "Please mourn." However, I did not think much of it. If he truly believes he and Yi Qi are in love, then this lifetime I won't separate them. Even more, I will contribute to Meng Yuqing's pig farming business. I asked my assistant to set up a pig farming project, arrange for someone to discuss cooperation with Yi Qi's father, made tall tales, and offered an investment. Yi Qi's father immediately fell for it and agreed immediately, promising to handle the pig farm within half a month and start entrepreneurship in a foreign place. Since Meng Yuqing likes pig farming, let him do it in this pig farming paradise for life. Without Meng Yuqing, I have better successors. My daughter-in-law, Shin Yechu, was an orphan of my good friend. She grew up under my care from childhood. Shin Yechu has always shown exceptional learning ability and talent since childhood, but she wanted to repay my nurturing gratitude, so I hoped she would assist Mengcheng. She stepped back and became his assistant, advising him wholeheartedly and doing everything possible, even marrying him at my request and submitting to his demands. This is why everyone thought Shin Yechu was a love brain who treated Meng Yuchen wholeheartedly. Yet, Meng Yuchen didn't know that Shin Yechu didn't like him at all. Her talent and abilities far exceeded his by 10 times. During the 3 years Meng Yuchen was missing, when I wasn't managing the company, Shin Yechu supported Meng's. With her strength, she sat on the general manager's position. In the previous life, after I found Meng Yuchen, he was dissatisfied. Shin Yechu stepped down voluntarily. However, Meng accused her of being my accomplice, framing her for embezzlement, divorcing her, and sending people to run over her, causing her to lose a leg. At that time, I had been locked up by Meng Yuchen and couldn't even be told about it. Later, when Meng Yuchen completely took control, he locked me in a pigsty and let the pigs eat me. On the verge of death, I saw Shin Yechu, using a crutch, rushing over with policemen in a hurry to save me. Thinking of Shin Yechu, my heart aches with bitterness. In the previous life, I wasted her life and caused her to suffer unjustly. In this life, I naturally want to make it up to her. I began preparing to hold a press conference to publicly announce Meng Yuchen's death. When Shin Yechu heard the news, she rushed over to comfort me. Sure enough, there was only concern for me on her face, without any sadness over losing her husband. I snorted inwardly. I wonder what those outside think. Insisting Shin Yechu is Meng Yuchen's fan. Women must focus on their careers and not get obsessed with men. Facing Shin Yechu's concerned gaze, I smiled faintly and told her I have accepted Meng Yuchen's death and won't look for him anymore. Meanwhile, I am also preparing to retire for a few days of leisure. I want her to take over Meng's. Shin Yechu was puzzled but has always listened to me and agreed to whatever I said. A week later, Shin Yechu supported me attending the press conference. Under the live camera lens, I announced Meng Yuchen's death publicly. After 3 years of searching with no results, we were left with no other choice but to accept it. Sitting in my seat, I pulled Shin Yechu's hand and announced that Shin Yechu will take over my work. From now on, I will gradually step back from controlling the company. Once I said this, everyone was shocked. Many shareholders who supported Meng Yuchen started criticizing that a daughter-in-law can't inherit the company. They were just looking for a reason. As the majority shareholder owning 51% of Meng's, I call the shots. I promote Shin Yechu to the top, and nobody can object. The Meng Group always follows the principle of the most capable person. Moreover, Shin Yechu became the general manager through her own strength. Now it's just an acting executive president. Whether she stays or leaves depends on everyone's supervision. After saying these words smoothly, several hyperactive Meng Group relatives were silenced too. Next came Shin Yechu's speech segment. I stepped down to give her the floor, but suddenly heard a loud siren and the distinctive vibration from a large truck. The glass door was directly smashed, and security guards exclaimed in vain as they couldn't stop the intruder. A man jumped out of the truck full of live pigs and rushed through the crowd shouting, "I am Meng Yuchen, the heir to the Meng Group and the executive president." A strong smell hit me, and my expression darkened instantly. The media seized this opportunity and focused the camera on Meng Yuchen. Journalists hurriedly reported live on site that there was an unexpected situation at the entrance. A man claimed to be the heir to the Meng Group. Is it the missing Meng Yuchen? My mind raced as I wondered why he appeared here and how he regained his memory. I turned to ask my secretary to cancel the speech segment and end the press conference early. However, Shin Yechu pulled my hand excitedly and shouted, "Mom, is Yuchen, look at the scar on his arm." I looked on helplessly. Meng Yuchen's clothes had been ripped to shreds by some violent force, exposing the paler skin underneath. On the inner side of his left arm, a jagged, lightning-shaped scar stood out starkly. When he was a child, he'd been kidnapped. To threaten me, the kidnappers had carved that scar into him. Very few people knew the story. Shin Yechu recognized it at a glance, and it became ironclad proof of his identity. Her eyes brimmed with tears, and when she looked at me they shone with pure joy. I knew she was happy for me. For 3 years she had watched me search desperately for Meng Yuchen. Now that he had returned, she was overjoyed on my behalf. But I couldn't admit the truth. I had never wanted him back in the first place. Hearing Shin Yechu speak, Meng Yuchen finally reacted. He adjusted his tattered collar with deliberate composure and thrust his scarred arm towards toward the crowd. Mother, it's me. I'm Yucheng. Do you remember this scar? Back then you carried me out of the kidnapper's den and into the ambulance. If the doctors hadn't pulled you away. He rattled off every detail of the abduction as though reciting a script. The more he said, the darker my face became. I was already riding a tiger with no way to dismount. I took Xinyechu's hand and let shock, doubt, and disbelief play across my features. You're really my Ayu? Mother, you finally recognized me. Meng Yucheng smiled, lifting his chin in the old, familiar way. But why do you look completely different? I almost didn't know you. I feigned bewilderment and scolded him. Where have you been these 3 years? Why couldn't I find you? His smile froze on his cracked lips. They opened and closed, but no answer came. In Meng Yucheng's world, a man's face was worth more than the sky itself. Now that he'd regained his memory and become the lofty Meng Corporation president again, how could he possibly confess to 3 years spent as a pig farm live-in son-in-law? Reporters surged forward, risking life and limb for an interview. Mr. Meng, please tell us where you went and what you did during these missing 3 years. Mr. Meng, how did you survive? Was that skydiving accident 3 years ago deliberate? Meng Yucheng was instantly buried beneath their microphones and lenses. I watched coldly, the corners of my mouth curling upward. Let's see how he wriggles out of this one. Yet something, soon rescued him. Or rather, not someone but a whole truckload of pigs. A livestock lorry crashed through the lobby doors. The impact loosened the tailgate, and the terrified hogs burst out, stampeding across the marble floor, sniffing the air. They charged straight at Meng Yucheng, shouldering reporters aside as if defending their swine king. Meng Yucheng, however, kicked one pig away. Get lost! Filthy beasts, don't touch me! The pig squealed in hurt confusion, unable to understand why the man who had fed it breakfast now turned on it. Then a shrill voice exploded from the doorway. What are you doing? Where are my pigs? A burly woman stormed in, Yi Qi, ignoring the crowd as if it didn't exist. With practiced ease, she grabbed Meng Yucheng's ear and cursed at full volume. Meng Yucheng panicked. Don't touch me. Do you know who I am? Yi Qi's eyebrows shot skyward. She smacked the back of his head. Get cocky with me over selling pigs in town, huh? If I hadn't dragged you back to the farm, nursed you to health, and let you marry into my family, you'd be fertilizer in some unmarked grave by now. Rescue pig farm, live-in son-in-law. Each word detonated like a bomb. Every cameraman hoisted his rig for the live stream, unwilling to miss a single frame. Cornered, Meng Yucheng flew into a rage. He kicked Yi Qi to the ground and slapped her repeatedly. Lies! You're the kidnappers. You hid me for 3 years just to extort money. I won't give you a cent. I'm calling the police. I'll have you and your father locked up for blackmail. I'm Meng Yucheng, president of the Meng Group. I have a wife. Don't think any stray cat or dog can cling to me. Xinyechu, suddenly dragged into the spotlight, froze, instinctively stepping forward to shield him. I tightened my grip on her wrist. Don't move. The show isn't over. What Meng Yucheng? What kidnapping? What are you talking about? Yi Qi sat on the floor bewildered, her usual ironclad toughness cracking into rare fragility. But Meng Yucheng had seized on a perfect excuse and was determined to brand her as a kidnapper. Security? Where's security? Call the police. Arrest this woman. Enough. I stopped the guards before they could move. Walking over, I offered Yi Qi a hand. She pushed it away and stood on her own. Meng Yucheng, reeking of pigsty, hurried to my side. Mother, believe me, I lost my memory. I had no idea what I was doing these 3 years. I frowned. I know those years must have been hard, but my voice hardened. Even if you remembered who you are, you can treat the people who saved you with ingratitude. I didn't raise you to be heartless. You may have forgotten, but I visited the Yi family's farm looking for you. You changed so much I didn't recognize you. Yet whether the Yes are kidnappers, my eyes work perfectly well. Besides, what's wrong with raising pigs in the countryside? Honest work is nothing to be ashamed of. In fact, the Meng Group is expanding into catering. The very people who secure our food chain are exactly the partners we need. The moment my words landed, Meng Yucheng's face darkened ominously, yet he dared not turn on me. He could only watch, powerless as I, under a blaze of camera flashes, publicly acknowledged Yi Qi as his savior, thanked her profusely, presented her with lavish gifts, and arranged for her safe escort home. In that glare of publicity, the identity he had hidden for an entire lifetime, pig farm live-in son-in-law, was exposed for all to see. Yi Qi left in a daze. I glanced at Meng Yucheng, whose face was stormy yet forced into a strained smile, and I couldn't help a quiet laugh. Since he insisted on coming back, he'd have no one to blame when I struck hard. The instant he stepped back into the Meng mansion, he bolted to his room to shower and change. An hour later, he emerged in the latest bespoke shirt and trousers, chin lifted high as though 60 minutes under scalding water had scoured away those 3 unbearable years and restored him to his lofty perch as President Meng. I looked him over and couldn't suppress a chuckle. 3 years of manual labor had left him darker and thinner. The new wardrobe had been cut to his old measurements. The clothes hung on him like sails, 2 sizes too large. My oversight, I said mildly. I'll have the designer remeasure you tomorrow. He ignored the remark, treating it as beneath notice, and launched straight into complaint. I watched the press conference. You announced that Xinyechu will be acting CEO. I understand that was an emergency measure while I was missing. Now that I am back, it is unnecessary. Tomorrow the company will be informed that their rightful president has returned. Xinyechu, seated at the side desk reviewing documents, turned to me at once. Mother, Yuqing is, after all, the sole heir. The executive position. I raised a hand, cutting her off. Yechu has only one fault. She feels she must repay every kindness. I must cure her of that. Both of you will report to the office tomorrow. We rebidding on a major project. Each of you will form a team and compete. Whoever wins the bid takes the CEO seat. In the Meng family, competence decides. Any objections? Both nodded. Yechu, copy the project file for Yuqing. He's just returned and needs rest. He may go. You stay. The work isn't finished. Once the door closed, leaving only the 2 of us, Yechu blurted, Mother, I can resign. I never meant to compete with Yuqing. I shook my head and beckoned her closer. I no longer trust Meng Yuqing. Her words died in her throat. Her eyes widened. I laced my fingers and laid out my doubts. Consider, he spent 3 years as a pig farm son-in-law, yet the moment he recovered his memory, he turned on the very woman who saved him, before the entire press corps, no less. Is this the Meng Yuqing we knew? Yechu fell silent. I could see my words sinking in. I added the decisive dose. You know as well as I do that he became CEO only because he is the only son, and because you and I backed him. We strategized, planned, and shielded him, only for every success to be credited to him alone. Why should I continue propping up a mediocrity who may stab me in the back when I can polish a true gem who has the company's interests at heart, and the talent to match? I patted her hand, my tone gentle. Stop thinking you must repay me. In my eyes you are that gem, merely dusty. My mistake was to focus on the mediocre and overlook you. From now on, I intend to let you shine. The next morning Meng Yuqing strode into headquarters, arms raised in triumph, declaring his return and announcing a bold new team. Only then did he discover that every familiar face had vanished. Employees, some strangers, some merely curious, studied him as if he were a museum piece. 3 years, not 3 months, had passed. His loyalists had resigned or jumped ship. Not one remained. His complexion soured, but old habits die hard. Within hours he had fired off company-wide invitations, promising promotions and raises to any talent willing to join him. He expected resumes to flood in. Instead, his inbox held a mere trickle, and behind his back the chatter was brutal. A guy who raised pigs for 3 years suddenly wants to build a strategy team? Who knows if he's even relevant? That was 3 years ago. The industry's moved on. Can he keep up? Didn't you hear? He was a live-in son-in-law at some pig farm, nearly committed bigamy on the spot, then dumped the girl. Total scum. So after all, he's the heir of the Meng family. Talking behind his back like this could cost you your life. These words were overheard entirely by Meng Yuqing, who was hiding in a corner. He flew into a rage on the spot, nearly attacking someone. Listening to my private assistant's report, I took a slow sip of coffee, my mood soaring. Every single one of those remarks had been planted by me. As expected, Meng Yuqing, whose psychological resilience was practically non-existent, fell right into the trap. He'd been trying to recruit talent and win people over within the company, but now it was impossible. For 7 straight days, he couldn't find a single qualified candidate with real skills. Yet his bet against Xinyechu had to proceed. Desperate, he reluctantly accepted the motley crew of mediocre applicants who showed up, scrambling to prepare their bid proposal under extreme time pressure. My assistant told me that Meng Yuqing's team monopolized the conference room daily, bickering endlessly. Every suggestion from employees was shot down by him. It was supposed to be brainstorming, but turned into his dictatorship. When I saw the 2 copies on my desk, one of Xinyechu's plan, one of Meng Yuqing's, I knew instantly. Just 2 glances were enough. Meng Yuqing was still operating with a 3-year-old mindset. Not that old strategies were useless, but this one was hopelessly outdated, far inferior to Xinyechu's. Naturally, during the presentation in the largest conference room, before the partners could even finish listening to Meng Yuqing. They cut him off cold. Mr. Meng, I don't think we need to hear any more. The partner representative chuckled disdainfully, perfunctorily rejecting his proposal and extending a hand to Shen Yechu. Pleasure doing business, Miss Shen. Why? How is my plan worse than hers? Meng Yuqing spat, utterly indignant. The partner's expression darkened immediately. Nobody likes a losing bidder who won't take no for an answer. The representative didn't mince words, dripping with sarcasm. Did raising pigs for 3 years rot your brain too? This is 202X. You handed us a plan fit only for 3 years ago. Are you kidding us? And you want to run Meng Group as CEO? Your company's doomed. Unable to contain his fury, Meng Yuqing lunged at them violently. The incident made headlines. Viral trends exploded online. Laughable. A tycoon raised pigs for 3 years, comes back and assaults clients, loses bid, beats partners, still thinks he can act like this? This alpha male is certifiably insane. Did anyone see the video of him attacking his savior at the press conference? I stayed completely hands-off, letting Shen Yechu handle it. She didn't disappoint. Swiftly issuing a PR statement, she organized a public apology video, invited transparency through open project supervision, and personally visited the partners with generous gifts to beg forgiveness. Impressed rather than punished, the partners expressed admiration for Shen Yechu and eagerly anticipated collaboration. The crisis passed narrowly. Within the company, Shen Yechu earned unanimous praise. Everyone rallied behind her candidacy for CEO. As for Meng Yuqing, he'd caused the chaos but conveniently vanished, making his wife clean up his mess. He lost the bet decisively, avoiding the office ever after, paranoid that every glance held mockery. Fuming at home, he smashed things relentlessly, disrupting my peace. Another crash echoed. Rising, I strode to his room, lips curled ice cold. Flinging the door open, I barked. What's this tantrum about? Look at yourself. Panting, surrounded by debris, he rushed over, pleading like a child. Mom, help me. You love me most. You know Meng belongs to me. You dared assault business partners and still claim the CEO position? My laugh was sharp. Tapping my temple, I added, 3 years of pig farming clearly dulled your wits. Stunned, she compared him to swine too? His face crumpled in shock. How could you mock me like them? This isn't mockery, I stated flatly. It's disappointment. Forget the CEO role. From now on, Shen Yechu is Meng Group's heir. Rolling up my sleeves, I delivered final judgment. You'll keep your shares if you behave. Live comfortably as a rich playboy. Without another glance, I turned away, missing the venomous hatred flaring in his bloodshot eyes behind me. Since you threw me away first, don't blame me for being ruthless. Obediently confined for a week, Meng Yuqing barely left his room except for meals and necessities. When Shen Yechu wrapped up her project, I invited her home for dinner. Uncharacteristically, he emerged freshly groomed, apologizing earnestly to both of us before sitting down. Though Shen Yechu gave him the cold shoulder, she tolerated it for my sake with a curt nod. During dinner, after nervous hesitation, he tentatively voiced a request, treating us to a countryside trip as penance. Rubbing his hands submissively, he explained, "No, I'm broke. Can't afford overseas. Stayed there 3 years. Simple facilities, but breathtaking scenery. Perfect for relaxation. Promise it won't disappoint." Exchanged glances with Shen Yechu, slight deliberation, then agreement. She was due vacation anyway, 3 days prior. Neither of us had specific plans. His offer seemed harmless enough. The remote village had no airport. Ever efficient, Meng Yuqing booked us premium high-speed rail tickets, arranging a van transfer upon arrival. Rustic conditions. Apologies, he fussed, fetching orange juice. Thirsty, back bent low. Gone was the tyrant posturing. Handing us drinks, he steered conversation strategically. Mother, you were right. I shouldn't have treated Yechi poorly. Big corporations must support basic suppliers. See these orchards? Locals struggle selling produce. Shouldn't we help promote them? Admirable initiative. Taking a sip, surprisingly sweet, I offered a lifeline. Write a proposal. Show potential. Beaming, he nodded eagerly. Post-rest, we resumed the van journey. Strangely drowsy, both Shen Yechu and I fought failing consciousness. An irresistible force dragged us under. In that last waking moment, I caught Meng Yuqing's cruel laughter. Stupid women, trusted me completely? Die out here, and the whole empire falls to me. Meng Yuqing dragged the two of us to the Yi family pig farm. Yi Qi came out to meet him. He snatched the large handcart beside her and, without a shred of mercy, threw Shen Yechu and me onto it, then began hauling us toward the pens. Yi Qi still had a conscience. She hurried forward and seized the cart handle. She's your mother and your wife. Are you really going to do this? Meng Yuqing flung her hand away, face twisted. Now you want to play the good guy? When I called you for help, you agreed by default. Don't pretend. He looked Yichi up and down, sneering. And don't you want Shinyechu dead, so you can become CEO's wife? Relax. Once I take back the Meng Group, you'll get your reward. Yichi fell silent for a moment, then asked quietly, you really intend to kill them? Of course. I've already lured them here. Where's the bait feed? Hurry up. I dosed them with sleeping pills, but the effect might wear off. We have to move. These pigs haven't eaten for 2 days. They'll gnaw the bones clean. Yichi took 2 steps back and stopped blocking him. Meng Yuqing flung open the pen gate, expecting a pack of ravenous pigs. Instead, he was met by a wall of reporters with cameras and microphones. He staggered back in shock. Shinyechu and I rose from the cart and regarded him coldly, our eyes perfectly clear. 3 days earlier, when Meng Yuqing had phoned Yichi to plot our murder, she had called me at once. The humiliation he dealt her at the press conference had opened her eyes. She no longer believed his promise of, I am only acting. Afterward you LLB Mrs. President. She believed only in the contract I offered, because only I could deliver real benefits. The 3 of us set the trap together. We planted the media in advance. Shinyechu and I pretended to be unconscious. Yichi coaxed Meng Yuqing on live camera to spell out the entire scheme. Police sirens wailed. Uniformed officers arrived. Miss Shun, we received your emergency call. Seeing the situation spiral, Meng Yuqing panicked. He scrambled to his feet, shoved through the ring of reporters, and bolted. Reporters chased him, firing questions. Mr. Meng, did you truly intend to murder your own mother and wife to seize the Meng fortune? Mr. Meng, between Ms. Shun and Ms. Yi, whom do you actually prefer? Mr. Meng, shut up. All of you get lost, he roared. In his frenzy he missed his footing and tumbled into another pen. Yichi screamed, that's the boar pen. Don't go in. Boars are notoriously aggressive. 4 200-kilogram studs charged the intruder. Help me. He was bowled over, trampled, kicked. Bones snapped. One hoof landed squarely on the most vulnerable part of a man. The crunch and his shriek echoed together. Police finally shot the boars to save him, but by the time he was carried out, blood-soaked and unconscious, both legs were ruined. Meng Yuqing was indicted for attempted murder. After discharge from hospital, he was transferred straight to prison. The boars had rendered him a eunuch. Advanced surgery could reattach the legs, but I made sure he never healed properly. Inmates, many with families outside, were encouraged to keep him in relentless 10-hour daily rehab. If it didn't kill him, it would cripple him further. Soon the legs were beyond saving. He would spend life in a wheelchair. Upon release, I had him committed to a psychiatric facility on grounds of mental instability. I never checked on him again. My assistant later reported that his fellow patients found him entertaining. They kept feeding him excrement. Apparently his days were very colorful. Meanwhile, Shinyechu and I helped Yichi expand the pig farm into a world-class enterprise. The original breeding plan was shelved. Instead, her premium pork now ships globally. We built her a complete production chain and business soared. Once everything was running smoothly, I fully handed the Meng Group over to Shinyechu, booked a one-way flight abroad, and began my retirement with a world tour.